Beer hats. Oh, no! Battles deep into the night! That's left the stadium entirely!
You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast, the best damn baseball show you've ever seen, heard of, thought of, even knew was possible. I'm your host, Andrew Ellis with Inside Arkansas, and we've got a great guest on the show. We got intern Cameron. I'm not even going to call you a guest on the show because you're just an employee of Inside Arkansas. Just our producer who's done a great job behind the scenes. I want to thank Cameron Green for being here today. If you're not familiar with Cameron's work, what are you doing? I mean, he's been balling, producing Inside Arkansas Live, been on all of our post-game shows, been helping us, done some accountability sessions, been helping us out big on the baseball front. Former grounds crew member, by the way, has been helping us with the fall ball coverage, been going to Baum, been filling in for me there on some days and collecting stats, doing a lot of good stuff, and just an overall ball knower, great vibe, great presence. Cameron, I appreciate you for being here with me on today's Baumbastic. Looking forward to talking some ball with you. How you doing?
I'm super excited. Anytime we can stick around and talk baseball, especially during this bad football season, I'm always down for this, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, it took me, after you worked for us for about 2 days, I could kind of tell you were a baseball guy. And that was before I knew you even used to be on the grounds crew at Baum, which, by the way, that's a prestigious position. I mean, the grounds crew at Baum, that's an elite crew. I know Dave certainly puts a lot on the grounds crew. And so I knew you were kind of a baseball guy. And so over time, I've realized, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is his wheelhouse. We're going to be able to make something here, man. And so, like I said, you've been out at Baum, I think, more than I have for the most part, because there's been the first weekend of scrimmages. I had some things going on. I got engaged at Baum on Saturday, but I was not at that scrimmage. So you got to fill in there. We've both seen, I feel like between all the scrimmages, we've had either one or both of us at least one of them. You know what I mean? Like, there's not been a scrimmage where either of us have not been there at Baum, but you've been doing a great job, man. I really appreciate that. So I'm going to start you off with just a softball. Favorite player from fall, and I'm not saying who's the best player. I mean, because I think we all probably agree Ryder Helfrich is that guy.
Yeah,
he might be your favorite, but is there a guy that this fall you just kind of caught yourself looking forward to him? You know, when he comes up to bat or when he gets on the mound, or you just are more excited, or you're like intrigued by anybody that maybe you weren't. Could be. You can go any way you want with this. Maybe someone you weren't expecting, but who has been? Who have you had the most fun watching this fall?
So starting out, I remember coming into it, and I was looking for Damian Ruiz, like every at-bat, and I was like, oh, here he comes. And then he had that weekend where he went like 0-7 with 5 strikeouts or something, and I was like, oh, boy. But ever since then, I've been looking out for guys like Reese Robinette, Brenton Clark. Those have been my two favorite to watch, especially like after a few weeks. I was like, man, I mean, they couldn't get him out, really. And whenever Brenton Clark would come up, I always expected either a hit or a walk. And, I mean, we can look at the stats for that. I mean, he's leading the team in OBP. He's been really, really on fire, and Reese Robinette as well. Both of them working walks, and you love to see it. I mean, especially whenever you got people always quoting Moneyball, like, what do you love about the guy? He gets on base. Yeah. So those are the two. If I had to choose one of those, I'd probably say Brenton Clark. He's the guy I look forward to, and I'm sure we'll get into that whenever we talk about the outfield later.
Yeah, I feel like, and I did a show last week that was basically the 5 guys I feel like raised their stock the most, and I had both Robinette and Clark in among the returning players, and I would include Kojal. I would include Ryder Helfrich. I would include Kahio Aloy, who we, of course, haven't really gotten to see much of this fall. Out of all the returners, I feel like Robinette and Clark raised their stock more than anybody. And again, like Helfrich's been awesome. You could certainly make an argument for him, but I feel like those are guys like Reese Robinette. We are not talking about if he's, we'll talk about the lineup in a second. No debate about him at first base. No debate about Brenton Clark there in the outfield, which is kind of crazy. I've been a big Brenton Clark guy, but I wouldn't have said that coming out of fall we would have no discussion about whether or not he's starting. And he's kind of played at a high enough level to warrant that kind of consideration. Most of the time, and by the way, it's not a coincidence that I asked you for players that stood out and you listed all position players. There's been a lot of offense at Baum Walker Stadium, which isn't necessarily a surprise. And, we all kind of have our opinions of how good they'll be on the mound, how good they'll be at the plate. For you personally, because we always do the thing with scrimmages or any type of exhibition where you're playing yourself. If you give up a touchdown, does that mean your defense sucks or is your offense good? That kind of thing. When you watch this fall and you watched a good bit, do you come away from it more excited about the offense or more concerned about the pitching?
Gosh, that's hard. Because
both.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Yeah, that's exactly the way I feel. But then you look at guys like Steele Eaves, and he comes out and he pretty much dominates against everybody he faces. Cole Gibbler's also been solid. I think I probably lean more towards it's going to be a really good lineup than just bad pitching, but I'm a little eensy bit concerned about the pitching coming into it now.
Yeah, I feel like if you're a fan going into the season, if there were a group that needed improvement, and you as a fan base were kind of thinking, all right, which group would you want to have that improvement more? It would be the pitching. Like, I feel like it would be more concerning if they couldn't hit it all this fall, because of which the additions they made with what they have coming back, it would be more concerning if they were just being, 30 strikeouts every scrimmage. We'd be like, oh, wait a minute. Does that mean we're kind of back to maybe that 2023, 2024 type of lineups? And I'm kind of with you that I'm not like panicked about the pitching. Like I think they are facing a good lineup, so I buy some of that. And ultimately, I'm just kind of okay with the premise of Matt Hobbs has to develop some of these guys. We've seen he's able to do that. Not that Nate Thompson can't develop hitters, but between those two, I feel like Matt Hobbs has a better track record of development, whereas Nate Thompson's such a good evaluator, such a good scouter, such a good talent evaluator, can bring in these recruits and just let them play, which is what he's doing with the lineup, whereas Matt Hobbs needs to tinker a little bit. And so it's been cool to watch him tinker with some of these guys.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we make sure that Nate Thompson doesn't ever coach third base again?
Really? You like the work of Bobby Wernes last year?
No, I'm saying that the offense was so much better whenever he didn't have to work third base.
I like that. No, I like that. I'm with you. I didn't know for a second. I was like, wow, are you just like, you just didn't like the way he rounded?
Yeah.
Like
No, that's not it.
I'm with you on that. And that's one thing I feel like, as much as I just said Nate is an evaluator, he's a recruiter. That is one thing that I feel like he doesn't get his credit for, is having these guys prepared. And you always see when a team goes to another pitcher, and this isn't a foreign concept, every team does something like that. You see Nate out there with the sheet of paper, and he's like, hey, this is what this guy's throwing. This is what he likes to go to in these counts. And every now and then you see, you remember Charles Davalon whenever Volantis went to the lefty, when Texas, I guess it was, went to the lefty Volantis against Charles Davalon, and he throws a first pitch slider and Charles Davalon just obliterates it. That's a big thing. And to your point, would that have happened if Nate Thompson was coaching third base? Maybe, because the pitching changed. You'd still have a chance. That, game to game, those inning to inning, kind of being able to look ahead and say, hey, they're probably going to go to this guy here. I do think there's a lot of value in that for sure. And speaking of Nate Thompson, I want to talk about his lineup and sort of where we're standing at some of these positions. We're not going to do a projected, hey, here's the lineup, but we're just going to go through the spots and talk about it a little bit. But before we do that, I want to talk to you guys about OZK Insurance. Are you tired of juggling insurance companies just to find the right coverage? At OZK Insurance and Rogers, they make insurance simple again. As a 100% independent agency, they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, saving you both time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wider range of options designed just for you. They serve Northwest and Central Arkansas, including Bentonville, Centerton, Fayetteville, Hot Springs, Little Rock, Springdale, and beyond. Let OZK be the trusted advisor you never knew you needed, with over 600 5-star Google reviews. Start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call 479-715-4200. OZK Insurance, protection made simple. Okay, so I'm going to start with the easy ones, Cameron. Just nod if you're with me and we're, you agree. Catcher, I've got Ryder Helfrich. We cool? Good with that one?
No.
Reese Robinette, who we alluded to earlier. First base, we cool?
Yep.
Cam Kozel, who, by the way, not had a great fall, which
not really.
We're not going to sit here and do a discussion of like, hey, is it okay? He didn't have a great fall last year, and we kind of did that overreactionary bit, and it turned out to mean nothing. I lean towards that probably being the case this time, but Cam Kozel, second base, probably the position he ends up at, right?
Yeah.
Third base, now Nolan Souza, we're not going to include him because we have not seen him yet. We'll see what that looks like when he comes back, and I am kind of anxious and curious about how does that impact things. What happens if he comes in and hits the ground running? But for now, I think third base, shortstop, we've talked about it in depth a little bit, Brumball, Pompey, whichever way you want to slice it. You can talk me into third base, Brumball, shortstop, Pompey. You could talk me into shortstop, Brumball. Do you have a strong leaning one way or the other there, or do you just kind of agree those are the two guys for those two spots?
I like those two guys at those spots. I like Pompey at third and Brumbaugh at short. Yeah. But I'd like to say that this last scrimmage, Brumbaugh did not play, and I heard it was because he had a little bit of a shoulder thing going on. So I hope there's nothing worse than we think it might be.
Yeah, I also noticed that, and I was a little like, I wasn't like freaking out about it, but that is certainly something to keep an eye on moving forward. Hopefully it's just hey, we held him out of the scrimmage precautionary. They do that a lot. So we'll learn. But I tell you, if you're – I got to say, we always talk about the injuries and how they do things. If you're Carson Brumbaugh, and you've had, by the way, this awesome fall. He's been like maybe the most impressive, surprising, awesome story of the fall. It would be quite unfortunate for him to start missing some time right as Nolan Souza, who just got cleared to swing, comes back. So, again, I really we're going to have that. By the time February rolls around, we'll have a much better idea of, is Sousa healthy? Is he really an option at short or third or maybe even second? Who really is there? I don't even want to have that conversation yet, but we kind of see the outlines of how that's starting to play out. And I feel good about the situation. Like all three of those guys, I feel very good about. Not really worried about it at all.
Feels like the 23 team, it was like just if you had the injury, you just had like whenever Peyton Stovall went down, Peyton Holt came in. It's like I like that comfort that if somebody does go down, then you feel pretty good about what you got behind them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, dude, position player depth might be the literal strength of this team. Like that might be the best trait this team has because we're talking about guys that we think are going to start. There's a ton of guys that we aren't even talking about. You know what I mean? Like Landon Schaefer, one of the most talented kids on the team. We haven't even discussed him at all. And it's not because he's not a good player, but it's like because there's just a pecking order and there's, the guys that are in that top 10 to 12, but there's like 5 or 6. I mean, Alexander Peck, like he's been impressive. Like I like that kid. I think he's got a bright future and he's really not even in this discussion. And it's not because of him. It's just like kind of the depth they built on this team. So you're 100% right. If anything were to happen to, like say Sousa comes back and he's just not the same, well, no big deal. We've got guys that can fill that spot. Let's say something happens to Carson Brumbaugh. Maybe this shoulder thing's an issue. Well, you've got 3 other freshmen that can kind of fill in right there, plus Sousa coming back. There's a lot you can really do here. Moving back to the outfield now. Now, this is where things get a little bit hairy because I think we all came into fall and correct me if I'm wrong here, Cameron. We all kind of thought Damian Ruiz left field, Micah News center field, Hio Aloy right field, maybe Zach Stewart, maybe Britton Clark, but that was kind of where we saw things playing. This past weekend, actually, I think it was – I'm trying to remember if they did this last weekend or not, but this past weekend they did 2 scrimmages. Britton Clark played left field with the starting group in both scrimmages, which is interesting. Damian Ruiz was with the second team, which – again, I'm not declaring that's a fact, but that is – this weekend was the first time where I really thought, oh, wait, is Damian Ruiz not a lock for left field? Ultimately, I think what's going to end up happening is Ruiz left, Kahio Aloy – or Britton Clark right, Kahio Aloy DHing. In that outfield, like if Dave called you tonight and was like, hey, what should I do with the outfield DH situation? What advice would you give him?
I pretty much agree with what you said. Until Zach Stewart proves me wrong, I can't and obviously it's happened before to where they have a bad fall and then they come out in the spring and then they show off and then you're like, oh yeah, this guy's got to play, right? So there's still that opportunity for him, especially since he's a senior now and he wants to get drafted. This is a big year for him. So maybe something clicks come spring and then we go, oh, why did we ever doubt that the guy who had hit 300 with 20 home runs a couple of years ago wouldn't start in this lineup. So, but yeah, I would say Britton Clark right, Micah New center, and then Damian Ruiz left right now.
Yeah, you're 100% right in that what you do in the fall, it matters, and it's a huge data point. It's what we do to evaluate these guys, but it's not like something you can't overcome. So definitely not sitting here being like, hey, Zach Stewart, you can't figure it out. And I would also clarify for some people that it'd be one thing if it's like, oh, Britton Clark's hitting 290 and Zach Stewart's hitting 270. I mean, it's like Britton Clark is getting on base 70% of the time. Literally, it's unbelievable. And Zach Stewart, he's actually been better the last couple of weeks. He took a while to get going. He's been a little bit better. Maybe that power shows up here soon. I'm sure. I mean, it's in there for sure. But it just right now, it's not really a discussion. And I mean, like we said, Britton Clark is actually at this point, call me crazy, he might be more of a lock for this lineup than even Damian Ruiz, who was one of the safest bets from the transfer portal to end up starting.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, man. And I think back to last year, which of course Cam Kojal is Zach Stewart in this situation, where Cam Kojal last year when we were doing these conversations, it was like, damn, I don't know if, Nolan Souza's playing well. I think he's going to start at second, Vahiva at short. Like, I don't know for sure if Cam Kojal's in this lineup. Clearly, he wound up coming back out after Christmas, making that a thing. And so, like you said, Zach Stewart could totally do that. All these guys are capable.
I also remember some of the national media saying they were very adamant about Cam Kojal starting, and I had been to a few scrimmages and I was like, I do not see it. Nolan Souza's got this locked down, and then season comes around, spring comes around. Well, and to be fair, Nolan Souza was actually really good in the spring too, but Cam Kojal also really came up in the spring, and then the season started, and Nolan Souza took a dip, and then Cam Kojal was on fire. So you really don't know what to expect sometimes.
And I'm glad you said that, because it's an important thing to remember here is that these things evolve, these things change. Baseball is a large sample size sport. So, of course, what we're saying now, it might not be true in 2 months, but all we can really do as fans and as, media members is we're just trying to kind of evaluate as we go. And that's just kind of where we're at right now. And Cam Kojal, of course, gets the benefit of the doubt, which is why he's 5 for 23 in the scrimmages. I don't care, because I've already seen you. You've proved it a little bit. And so it's, all these guys are very capable of doing that. With Kojal, it was crazy because he literally hit 160 in the fall last year, and then hit 470 in the spring, or spring we say in January and February leading up. Yeah. So it's kind of fascinating. But I mean, Rocco Pepe, all these guys, you never know how it's going to play out. I mean, you always have these guys that are, some are proven, some are not as proven, but are super talented. There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's going to play out. And so we'll know more in February, but it is always fascinating to see how quickly these things can change. But in terms of, Ruiz is still a guy, and he's bounced back nice these last few weeks. Still a guy that is probably going to be in that mix. I just wonder what they're going to do with Kahio Aloy in terms of the DH right field thing. But him playing right field seemed to be the option that would free them up. But I don't know how you keep Damian Ruiz and Brenton Clark out of this lineup.
I don't either. I mean, I don't get paid to make those decisions for Dave, so I don't envy that. But I mean, he's got, and it's a good problem to have. So. I don't know. I mean, you'd rather have that problem than not have it. So,
yeah, I'm good with that. We're going to move on to the pitching staff side of things real quick. Before we do that, of course, want to remind our listeners about Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. If you're in Northwest Arkansas or the River Valley, have Walter Christmas Lighting install and set up your house with professional and Halloween Christmas lighting like you'd never seen before. They'll give you all the materials. They'll install the lights. They'll take it down for you in January, and they'll come fix it throughout the holiday season for you. And if you sign up for Halloween lights, which you better do because Halloween's in just a few weeks, you get your Christmas lights for 50% off. So that's huge. Text our guy, Brett, for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. You can also check out their website at waltzerchristmaslighting.com or like them on Facebook by scanning the QR code on your screen. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. They're the best. The holiday lighting experts, local holiday lighting experts. So moving on to the pitching staff just a little bit. Now, again, it's fall, it's small sample size. You see a guy throw one inning on a Friday afternoon at 3 p.m., and now here we are trying to extrapolate that into something. So it's tough. We won't really get to know for sure, but I want to start with the starting rotation, which is honestly the thing that we really don't get any clarity about because we don't see any of these guys pitch in a true starting setting. But I think we all agree, Gabe Gackle, that's your Friday guy. That's kind of a commodity here. Cole Gibbler, I assume, is going to be the Saturday guy. He's been good. Cole Gibbler's throwing the ball well, but the questions we have about Cole Gibbler as a starter, we just haven't gotten to see play out. We haven't seen him go 4, 5, 6 innings. We haven't seen him throw 100 pitches, and we won't anytime soon. But for now, I'm assuming he's going to be in that rotation, whether it's number 2 or number 3. Again, I'm going to do the thing of if Dave Van Horn called you tonight and was like, intern Cameron, man, I need your help. I need you, bro. Help me. Who should I make as our number 3 starter at this point today, as of October 7th at 2:29 p.m.? Do you have a recommendation for him?
So I would probably go Tate McGuire at this point. He's really shown that he's improved from last year, from just being the midweek guy that comes in to eat innings, and now he's got good command. He's got good stuff. It's kind of all coming together for him. I don't know how realistic it would be to say Steele Eves in this one. Because I'd also really like to see him maybe close, maybe be a little bit of a relief guy. So I'd probably start Tate McGuire, see how it goes for a few weeks. And obviously they make plenty of adjustments throughout the year. And I expect them to happen this year as well. So yeah, Tate McGuire.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've kind of come full circle on Tate McGuire, who I've never been low on Tate, but he was never a guy last year going into the season. I wasn't hey, watch out for Tate McGuire. And then even when he was the midweek starter and he had some good games, had some okay games, I never came away from his midweek starts being oh yeah, clearly this guy is going to be a future weekend starter. I always kind of was just yeah, he's fine. He's young. He's evolving. He's doing his thing. But you can tell the thing that I've noticed with Tate is all that experience that he got, whether it was those midweek games, pitching in the Cape, whatever, or just being around the program. Because his freshman year, he didn't pitch a ton, but he got to watch Hagen Smith go out there every Friday night, and you see what a professional looks like. What I've seen out of Tate McGuire is a kid that has been watching and learning and getting some experience along the way, and you can tell he's better for it. So I'm with you. I think another thing that people need to realize, and I say this a lot, when you say number 3 starter, it makes it seem that's the third best pitcher on your team. And that's a super high leverage role of if a guy's doing really well in the bullpen, they say, hey, why don't we start him? And so you view it as hey, if a guy's starting a game, that means you like him better than your other guys. So if you're starting Tate McGuire, that means you like him more than Steele Eves. And I just don't think that's really how it is. And I'm with you in terms of you can make that case for Steele. I think I like the ideal of the steel curtain closer.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did this summer. And, anytime you're going to move a guy to a starting role, you have to ask, is it going to be different? With Tate, you've already seen him. He's already had those 3, 4, 5 inning games in his career before. And so I'm all for that. I think Tate McGuire is probably the guy I would go with as well. And there's cases to be made for some other guys. It is going to be very interesting. And by the way, someone on the show on Inside Arkansas Live was asking me who's the breakout or the most underrated pitcher, the dark horse pitcher. Yeah. And I was I just don't think Steele Eves is a dark horse anymore, man. I think Steele Eves is just good. And so I want to ask you, and it seems like I know the answer to this, but with Steele Eves, who threw, I guess it was 7 innings last year at Arkansas. And then I don't know how many he ended up with this summer, maybe 10, maybe 12, but it was very good this summer. And hell, his innings at Arkansas were good. Is there any concern of hey, this might be the best reliever we have, and he's a guy that doesn't have a ton of experience? Do you buy, I guess, this emergence that we've seen from Steele Eves this offseason fully?
Yeah, no doubt. We were hearing about it whenever he was in the Cape, wasn't he?
No, he was in California. He was out in California.
Okay. Yeah. No, I just remember seeing some stats coming out. It was Steele Eves with another dominant. How long did it take for him to give up a run?
I don't believe he gave up a run in California. Yeah. I don't believe he ever ended up doing it. I think it was 10 or 11 innings, and then he even threw a couple in the playoffs, and he barely gave up a base runner, let alone a run.
Yeah. And then I would see – it was just an insane stat line. You're okay. But then you're okay, I got to see it against SEC-level competition. Then he comes out, and he hasn't given up an earned run yet. Keeping that up, especially against the many guys. And this is a good lineup top to bottom, really. You got the freshmen coming in, and some of them are even really popping off. There's not a lot of weaknesses there, and he's still doing it. So, yeah, I'm 100% buying the Steele Eves hype.
Yeah, and honestly, it's will he end up being the most dominant reliever in the country? Maybe not. But the thing that I noticed is just the command. Him and Tate McGuire both. It's the command is just at a high level. I think they maybe have a combined 1 or 2 walks all fall, and not a crazy sample size. It's 15 innings combined, but it's those dudes just come out there, fill up the strike zone. They look confident. Steele Eves looks like he's done it 1,000 times before. Man, he came in, struck out the side the other day. He just seems to have that reliability to him. And so I'm kind of with you as him being this top bullpen option. I think I actually do. I do buy it. A few other guys that are going to have to step up for Arkansas in that bullpen discussion, maybe as a starter, but mostly as a bullpen, is going to be those transfer guys. A lot of people, Ethan McElvain was a guy that had a lot of buzz about him coming to Arkansas out of Vanderbilt, despite his struggles last year. Jackson Kersher didn't throw a ton at Oklahoma, but everyone knows the velocity's there. He looks the part. Out of all these transfer pitchers, you can throw James DeCramer in there as well from Oregon State. Is there one that really sticks out from the pack for you, or do you kind of just feel they're all in the same kind of echelon?
Are you talking about transfer pitchers?
Yeah, just the transfer, just those 3 transfers from D1 schools alone.
if we're talking just transfer pitchers, Kircher was good for a little bit. He was really solid, but recently he's kind of started floating a little bit. I really like McIlvain. I really like his stuff. It's just you got to bring it all together and make it work because he's been got a few times now. DeCramer's been solid. There hasn't been anything bad about it, but I'm waiting for him to really dominate a few times. But I would say McIlvain would be the guy who's I would hope that he'd figure it out by the end of the year. And I think that upside is really going to help him out. It's just getting it all together that's going to be the goal for him.
Yeah, I think I agree that like McIlvain probably has the highest ceiling, at least in terms of this year. Now, Kersher's a sophomore, a true sophomore who's only thrown 12 innings, just like Steele Leaves. He's a guy that could very well take those steps and take a massive step forward, and he has a pretty damn high ceiling himself. But in terms of this year, like if one of those guys, if you were to wake me up from a coma in July and be like, hey, Arkansas had a transfer pitcher who is a dominant closer, I would be like, oh, it was probably Ethan McIlvain. Like that would be my guess. Could be DeCramer, but I'm with you that like DeCramer might be the more solid. Like he might be the safest bet out of those three to just give Arkansas 30, 35, 40 innings.
Probably the most stable.
Yeah, and I think McIlvain, like honestly, I hope and I wonder if maybe these fall scrimmages, especially because he started in some of those, maybe that's not the best setting for Ethan McIlvain. Maybe he's one of those guys, and I mean, you see the handlebar mustache. He's like 6'5", 250, lefty that likes to just let it eat. I wonder if maybe he's going to be a little bit better when it's ninth inning, go out there, throw one inning and let it eat. I think that's more of a better setting for him. I hope Arkansas finds that kind of role to get the best out of Ethan McIlvain. I don't want to say I've been disappointed by Arkansas's transfer pitchers, but if there were one thing that like maybe out of this fall that I don't know if I necessarily got, it was any of those guys really emerging, and it looked like it was going to be Kersher early on. Real quick, want to touch on some of these freshmen. That sounds weird. I shouldn't have. That was a weird phrase. I did not like the way that sounded coming out of my mouth. I want to talk about Arkansas's freshman players, both position player and pitching, because I think this is a much better freshman class than last year. Yeah. And I didn't think last year's freshman class was bad. I mean, we saw Cole Gibbler and Carson Wiggins. We knew those guys were going to help. Brenton Clark had some good moments in the fall. Out of the freshman pitchers, if there were one freshman pitcher that we're going to emerge and have a real role for Arkansas this year, do you have a pick for that?
I think my dark horse pick is Jordan Martin. Like, I really like his stuff, and whenever he comes out, I go, whoa. Like, he's got the 6'6" frame. He's, 220 pounds or so? He's got that pitcher build where you just look at him and you're like, oh, yeah. Like, give this guy some time in the weight room, get him a couple of years under Matt Hobbs, and he's going to be I think he'll be pretty special. I really like Jordan Martin.
I like that a lot. And he's like all these freshmen. I honestly, so Hagen Smith, his freshman year, I don't remember him ever really like having a welcome to college baseball moment. Outside of him, dude, I really can't think of a pitcher that has come through Arkansas as a freshman and not kind of sucked a little bit in the fall. Like, I remember the first summer where it was the freshman class that was like Coyle, Bybee, and Fouch and all them. I mean, they got shelled. Gage Wood as well. They got shelled every scrimmage, bro. There was a stretch in the fall where I was like, I don't know if any of these dudes are good. And clearly they all wound up having their own levels of success. But it's actually just like a rite of passage a little bit. Like you have to kind of get roughed up a few times in these scrimmages. And Jordan Martin came out hot, had a couple good outings, and then had one outing that didn't go his way. Was okay in the fall classic. But yeah, I'm with you that like I think he needs this. I mean, he needs some of this experience. And you can see even when you're watching him pitch, he's not a finished product by any means whatsoever. And so, maybe there's someone like, Mark Brissy's a guy who I think has been pretty impressive because he also had some struggles early, bounced back. Brissy's probably a little bit more ahead of schedule in terms of the command and just mentally being ready to contribute. But I think Jordan Martin is one of those guys that is so talented that it's not like it's going to take a complete overhaul of his stuff to get him on the mound. Like he's a guy that I could see like maybe getting some opportunities early, and then maybe about April he has a couple outings where you're like, oh, it's coming together for him good. I really like that. Of the freshman position players, of course, Brumbaugh, we've talked about him a good bit. He's a stud. We think he's got a chance to start. Any of those freshman position players that have like caught your eye as like, oh, hey, this guy maybe is better than we thought.
I think the one you obviously have to look at is Christian Turner.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's he batting, 474 over the fall now? as a freshman. And he's got the power. He's been really good. I mean, and especially whenever you look at the other freshmen, how they've struggled a little bit. I mean, Rutenbar, I think, started off kind of hot, and then he really cooled down. And then Landon Schaefer's been struggling a bit. And then Brumbaugh, obviously. But I think between Brumbaugh and Turner, those two guys as freshmen have been really impressive.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. Christian Turner, my Louisiana brethren, I'm a boot boy as well. Always got to support those guys from the same high school as Peyton Stovall and Dak Prescott. So, I mean, the pedigree's there. He's been impressive, man, and I feel like he has done what Brenton Clark did last fall. And when I say that, Brenton Clark was awesome last fall to the point where we had a guy that nobody was talking about as a starter where we were like, holy cow, is it going to work out? Brenton Clark eventually came back down to earth and wound up obviously not starting, did not play as a freshman. I think it's possible that happens with Christian Turner as well. But again, we talked about Brenton Clark right now as a guy that as a redshirt freshman, we're like, dude's a lock to start at this point. Like, it's kind of crazy. I think Christian Turner has all of that capability. And honestly, man, on any other team in the country, he would almost certainly be the best freshman on the team, and he would be likely pushing for a starting spot. I'm sure there's some SEC schools right now that Christian Turner would be like hitting fifth or sixth at. Like, you know what I mean? Would be in the lineup, like, for sure. He hit a left-on-left home run against Cole Gibbler to the opposite field, which was his first home run of the fall. But, like, he's been getting on base a good bit. He's hit lefties. He's hit righties. He's hit for some power. He's hit oppo. He's pulled the ball. At the plate, man, he looks like a legitimate hitter, like really ahead of schedule for a freshman. And he's not the only one, man. Like, I think Peck's been good. He's really athletic. I like Peck. Like, Peck looks. I mean, he's wearing number 9. He just like looks like a guy, like the type of guy that Arkansas likes to recruit. Long, rangy. You can kind of see the upside there. Rutenbar is another one. By the way, Rutenbar might end up being the backup catcher. Like, it's very possible. I haven't seen Kleiman catch a ton. I don't know if that's maybe he's banged up or if they're just trying to keep him fresh, but I haven't seen Kleiman catch much at all. Maybe 1 or 2 scrimmages. So maybe he ends up being kind of that guy. That's who we all expected.
I think
Rutenbar's been getting some good experience on the plate.
I think Daniel Shee was telling me that Rutenbar's only been catching for about a year now. So
maybe they're trying to get him as much experience as possible there. Yeah, well, he's definitely getting a lot of experience behind the plate. Good little left-handed hitter for a catcher, man, for a freshman. Like, definitely pretty impressive there. Well, Cameron, I guess we've kind of run through. We've reset the lineup. We've kind of assessed where we're at with a pitching staff. We're now, by the way, about to turn the page to a real game or two. Cameron, as we move into this weekend, is there anything that's like pressing that you're like, hey, I want to see this weekend? Or is there a specific Razorback you have in mind? Or are you just kind of excited to watch them play an opponent and see how they stack up against someone else?
Obviously, I'm excited. Anytime you can get to Baum, that's a good time. If I'm looking for somebody to stick out, I want to see Hunter Dietz have a bounce back. It's hard to say that he got roughed up. He didn't have a great outing, though. I think he walked a couple guys. He gave up a few hits. But I'd like to see him come out and look dominant again just to build towards what we think he can be. Because I'm really excited about Hunter Dietz, and I'm glad he's going to finally get one healthy season, or let's knock on wood. But, yeah, there you go. I want to see Hunter Dietz. That's who I'm looking for. I want to see him have a good outing.
I love that call. Because I'm with you that, like, I think his – struggles the last couple of weeks have gotten overblown a little bit. One, it's like you give up a home run to Reese Robinette. Obviously, I don't like that. I would prefer you not to, but I'm not going to be like, well, that tells you that he sucks. You know what I mean? Like you said, there was a double off the bag, and it's like, okay, are we really, are we going to now think he sucks? So I would like to see him, especially, by the way, another thing we got to consider, these dudes are playing each other every single week. So some of these hitters, the first time you see Hunter Dietz, it's like, holy cow, lefty 98. You face him 5 or 6 times over the course of a month. Hey, now I kind of know what I'm expecting here. I think there's something to that as well. So it'll be cool to see these guys play someone else. If I can challenge someone, because I know we like to do that a lot, I want to challenge Cole Gibbler. I assume he's only going to throw 1 inning, maybe 2, 3 at the absolute most. I really don't know how they're planning on treating this, and I don't know if he's pitching Friday or Saturday. I want to see Cole Gibbler like really take that seriously. Like, treat it like it's a real game. Treat it like it's like, hey, it's Saturday night in the SEC. I'm about to take the ball. And for that, however long we see you pitch, 1, 2 innings, I want to see that. And it'll be a very small sample size. So it'll be very easy for me to be encouraged by that. But I just want to see Cole Gibbler come out, shove, 3 up, 3 down, do your job, hand the ball to the next guy, and just look good doing it. But I want to see him kind of take that seriously, because that's your person. I mean, that's what we know Cole Gibbler has good stuff. We know he can get SEC hitters out. We know he can actually throw more than one inning. Like we've seen him go 3-4 innings before. I want to see him like really show that from the opening start, like really, really take advantage of this opportunity. And so I'm looking forward to watching him, man. Well, Cameron, I appreciate you. This is your debut on the Baumbastic Podcast. Yep. Certainly will not be your last time, man. I'm looking forward to having you by my side all baseball season, man. I appreciate you for all you've done. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at Baum this weekend, man. So he's Cameron Green. You see his at name. Go ahead and follow him on Twitter. He's blowing up, going viral on Twitter, going crazy on Twitter. And
you'll watch baseball updates there.
Yeah, you'll get your baseball updates, and that's about it. You'll get your baseball updates, but that's all you need. But seriously, man, appreciate you for joining. Appreciate everybody for listening. We're Inside Arkansas. This is the Baumbastic Podcast. We will see you soon.